Well, it's been forever since I posted any video. I've just been really busy doing stuff. It's been a busy summer, driving cars, fiddling with engines, etc., etc. Today I've got an arts and crafts video for y'all. So, we can see the disaster that is currently my workbench. I'm doing some custom gauges for the Saab. So I'm going to do a quick run through of what I'm having to do to basically turn these old school VDO gauges into custom gauges that, well, here's just a black and white. So first, obviously, you start out by scanning the original faces. So you pull the gauges apart, scan them, get all the angles and stuff that you need for all your markers. Get that into your vector program and draw up your new faces. So you can see that these new faces don't exactly have the same markings. Like the 100 degrees is right in the middle, whereas 100 is over here. So I'll show you what I'm doing to correct the scaling in the gauge as well. So draw them up in the vector program. Takes a little bit of time, a little bit of finicky work there, sort of fun. Then next what you do is you get yourself some inkjet printable vinyl. So this is vinyl. I've used this before for the custom gauge in the Milano. Printed those off onto the vinyl, at which point you can either put cut marks in it and cut it out with a Cricut, or there's various ways to cut it out. I chose the hard way with the old scissors here. So we cut those out by hand, then created a jig to put the faces onto the original metal discs, the originals. So you basically slip that over with the bolt holes and you line that all up. Get the face on there, stick it on there. I'll show you in a second what the end product looks like. And then you can, obviously to customize this particular application, the original needles, which look like that, your standard VDO needle, nothing special. I actually went and pulled apart useless dead instrument clusters because obviously this is going into a Saab, so I might as well use the original Saab needles. Why not? It'll look the part. So we have over here a whole whack of stuff going on here. We've got all the needles for the clusters. I'm going to be restoring an instrument cluster as well. So we've got the needles all painted, as well as a set of 3 extra needles for my accessory gauges, as well as a needle for my outside temperature gauge as well. So I'm painting that to match the factory orange. Attention to detail is premier consideration here. Next, what you got to do, you got to pull these VDO gauges apart. These are the old Volkswagen, Volvo, Audi, whatever gauges. I got a whole pile of them here, as you see. The best way that I found to get into them, obviously, is you can pull the crimp ring back, which is absolutely tedious as hell. But at the end of the day, China, you can just get yourself new gauge bezels and just cut the old ones off. So I basically take the gauge and I roll it on a flap disc, and I just cut the steel bezel right off. So that way you save the cup. Normally when you take those off, you destroy the cup because they're all so old and brittle. But when you cut them off with a flap disc, they come out perfect. So you can see the gauge assembly inside of here. You can see the old browning of the housing from over the years of the light bulb. So I'll show you what I'm doing here on my 3. Let me just turn my heater off here. So we've got 3 housings, which I've then painted with a super bright white acrylic, and then clear coat it with a UV protecting clear coat, so that way it doesn't ever brown again. I took the terminals off the back. You see there's no terminals on there, so you pull the terminals out of the back of the instrument, and then you're free to paint the inside of the cup back to white. So that should allow the light output to maximally get into the gauge, so you have the better night lighting. So obviously I showed you the jig I made there to put the faces on. You can see the end product on the 4 that I'm going to be using. So you can see that I used outside temperature gauge, oil temperature, oil pressure in the volts, and you can see I've also recurved the voltmeter, and again I'll show you real quick what I did there to fix the scaling. So I got to assemble all these gauges here shortly, but not before. Obviously, making the lighting match the factory. So what I have here are just these green filaments. I get them at work, but you can get them at hobby stores and stuff like that. Nothing special. It's just a piece of colored plastic. I've got a whole bunch of different colors of random colors. So again, cut them out by hand. I used an old Volvo boost gauge sort of as a template to do that. Cut those out with the scissors, and then I'm using various sizes of punches like drill bits and stuff to get the holes all done. That's the best way to do the holes, is to use punches, because you can just get it done in one foul swoop and it's done perfectly. So you can see I've got various punches, various drill bit sizes and stuff like that I've been using as punches to punch these holes. So we can see I've got this one here done for the outside temperature. So yeah, that's all going to go together behind the face. So it sort of fits that's where they are factory. They sort of fit just into the cup just behind where the face of the gauge is. So that's where those are going to go. Then obviously I'll get my brand new Chinese bezels on there. But also another issue with these old VDO gauges is the old plastics are always broken and cracked and scratched, and they're ugly. They're terrible. I'm not going to have that at all. So I have a local glass shop cutting me new discs out of glass. So those will look perfect. So we'll put that whole package together, and we should have a gauge that looks like it was meant to be. And I'll show maybe a video of when I'm all done, but it's a fair bit of work to get to here. Not to be taken lightly. I've been working on this for quite a while now, and even just doing the vector drawings takes a long time, especially if you want it perfect. So definitely a cool arts and crafts project. I do enjoy doing it. It's kind of a bit of fun off the standard beaten path of stuff I'm used to doing. So just taking a little bit of a break from doing one thing, just quickly getting this stuff done so I can move on to other things. So it's kind of an interesting project. So lastly, I was going to say how I recurve these gauges is these gauges are a 3-pole style air core gauge. And basically to recurve them, to change the scale on them, you need, man, my phone is terrible right now. But basically you curve them by changing that resistor and that resistor. So you can see I have a decade box here, which is just a resistor box, and you try different resistors in place of this resistor until the curve is changed the way you like it. So they're fairly complicated because you can change the path to ground and the path to the sender. So you can change the scale in a couple of different ways. Like you can make it higher with like the numbers up towards the top, or you can make it lower with the numbers, like all the higher numbers down towards the bottom. So there's different ways you can curve them. It's just a matter of farting around with it and kind of getting used to it. So I just wanted basically not to look like they were just a standard VDO cockpit gauge like that everybody has. I wanted it to kind of be like a sort of bespoke scale. So yeah, I accomplished that by recurving the voltmeter and the oil temperature gauge. Anyway, any questions, comments, leave them down below. Bye for now.